Welcome to the YouTube Creators Hub podcast, where we help you conquer the internet one video at a time. We cover everything from how to start a YouTube channel to how to make a video go viral. And now, here's your host, the one and only Dusty Porter.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to episode 314 of the YouTube Creators Hub podcast. Man, what a week for the show. We had our biggest day ever in downloads, over 26,000 for one day, which was astounding, and it's all because of you guys. We are one of, if not the biggest YouTube podcast on the internet. Each and every Friday, I release a new interview with a fantastic creator, and I talk with them about their journey on the platform, things that they've done well, mistakes that they've made, and it's just a peek behind the curtain of all different sizes of creators, small, medium, and large, in hopes of helping you get to know what you need to do a little better, maybe have a light bulb moment of what could help you on your journey as well. Huge thank you to TubeBuddy. If you don't know who or what TubeBuddy is, man, I had a call with them this week. Some of the stuff they're working on is unbelievable. So if you haven't jumped on this train, please do. Use our link. It'll help us out. It'll help you out. And you'll get a free month, free 30-day trial if you use our link. And it is so appreciated when you do that, because it does support the show and you get something out of it in return. Also, a huge thanks to those patrons over at patreon.com/DustyPorter. Got a couple of new patrons this week. I will be announcing those that are at the analyst tier or higher next week. If you do support us at that tier or higher, you will get a shout out once per month here on the podcast of your link of choice. Now, something new we're doing on the show is the question of the week. Started last week, where I present a question at the end of the episode, and you guys reach out to me on Twitter at DustyPorterYT over there, and you answer the question. So this week, I got I got a bunch, but I'm only going to read a couple of responses. The question was, what is the toughest thing that you struggle with as a creator? AJ, the Culture of Cookery, responded and said, definitely the toughest thing to do as a creator is maintaining consistency as a food content creator. Kids are always messing up the kitchen, equals always dirty. #dadlife. AJ, I love that. A response coming from Mike D. Dusty, excellent guest, super interesting. My biggest issue is that I don't make scripts. I just shoot from the hip, which means I struggle with the details sometimes. So I have to reshoot it or do a voiceover, which messed up the audio levels. Mike, I completely understand. That is something that I deal with as well. One coming from Alan J. He says, one of the things that I struggle with most is being able to understand the analytics. That's something that just blows my mind, and I really am trying to learn to do better with this. Well, Alan, thank you for the response, and thank all of you who've responded over on Twitter at DustyPorterYT. I think that when it comes to things that we struggle with as a creator, we all have different things that kind of we're not as good at as other creators. And so with that being said, we have to figure out how we can kind of go around or skirt those things and improve at them, or hire it out, or find someone who is good and have them do that for us. It's so fun to hear all these things about the algorithm and the script issue and the issue with having kids always around. Again, balancing life and being a creator is tough. That's probably one of the toughest things for me, for sure. So if you'd like to answer this week's question of the week, which will be presented at the end of the interview, please find me over on Twitter at DustyPorterYT. And I'd love to connect with you over there and read and maybe even present your response in next week's episode. All right, guys, with all of that out of the way, let's go ahead and jump into this week's conversation. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's conversation on the YouTube Creators Hub podcast. Super excited today to be joined by John Johnson from the Yacht Buoy YouTube channel. After leaving school, he served in the Royal Navy for 6 years. When he left, he worked in sales and marketing for 2 years before starting his own insurance business. He grew that business from scratch and had a turnover of around £50,000 per month and was writing about £150,000 of premiums per month. He had 11 employees before he sold his share of the business to his business partners. He then got married, had his first child, and started up a social media management business. Around 18 months ago, take note of that number, he started his YouTube channel, Yacht Buoy, because he loves boats. Now, that Yacht Buoy is pronounced in America, Yacht Buoy, but it's YACHTBUOY. And then 18 months later, he's now around 800,000 views per month and has worked with big super yacht builders such as Baring Yachts, Nordhaven, Icon, and a few others. He's just about to hit 20,000 subscribers. John, how are you doing today?
I'm great, Dusty, and it's an honor to be on this podcast. It's a podcast that I've listened to myself for a long time, so it really is an honor to be here. Thanks for having me.
And a breaking news update here. You have now surpassed that 20,000 subscriber mark since writing that intro. You are now at 20,200 some odd subscribers, getting hundreds and hundreds of thousands of views a month. So I cannot wait to dive in to kind of what you're doing on the channel. But take us back 18 months ago. Tell us the origin story of the channel. How did this whole thing start?
Yeah, so as you mentioned, my sort of day-to-day business is social media management. So I advise companies how to utilize social media. And about 18 months ago, I really missed, since leaving the Royal Navy and leaving the RNLI, which is the UK's version of the Coast Guard, I really missed being on and around boats. And I've had a passion for super yachts and boats since I was about 8 years old. So I thought, do you know what? I'm going to make a video about some of the boats that I really love and some of the yachts that I really love. I'm going to put it on YouTube just because it's an excuse for me to talk about boats and hopefully build a community, and I can chat to people on the channel about different boats. Put the video up, didn't really expect it to do anything, and it got more views than I thought. I think it came in at around sort of 10 to 15,000 views. So I thought, okay, this is interesting. I'll do another one. And then 18 months later, I mean, I think I'm up to about 120 videos. As you say, I've just recently hit the 20,000 subscriber mark. And in the last couple of weeks, the YouTube channel has started to open some really interesting and exciting doors. So yeah, it started off as a bit of a hobby, really, because it wasn't, for me, making the videos, it was a hobby. It was something that I enjoyed doing because it was all about boats and yachting, and I didn't expect anything to come from it. So yeah, it's been a really interesting ride.
So we definitely will talk about the doors that the YouTube channel is opening up for you. You know, your background, which I mentioned briefly in that open there, you had the insurance business and then you did the social media stuff. So obviously you got a little bit of experience in media and marketing and things like that. But what was your background coming out of the military? I mean, did you go at this thing blindly, or did you already have some experience of the creation process? Explain that to me.
Yeah, I went at it completely blindly. So although, I did my service in the Royal Navy, came out of that and did a sales and marketing job, which is kind of very basic. We're talking 2001, so it was long before, YouTube and Facebook were a thing. And then I set up the insurance business, and as you said, I built that up from scratch and sold that. And I thought to myself, well, what do I do now? And I learned quite a lot about social media, not so much about YouTube, more about, Facebook and Instagram. So that's when I started to consult companies on how to utilize that. But when it came to the videos, I hadn't actually got any experience at all when it came to video production, video creation. I had to learn it all from scratch. And I started off with iMovie, and, it kind of did the job quite well. And in the last couple of months, I've kind of progressed up to Final Cut Pro. But it was all self-taught, and I knew nothing about how to make a video. I mean, I listened to my first videos that I made, and I cringe at my narration. It's quite embarrassing to listen back to, and it's come quite a long way from then. But a lot of it was trial and error, and reading all of the comments. I read every single comment that's left on all of my videos, mainly because I like the constructive criticism that I get. So if people say to me, look, we really like this about this video, or don't like that about this video, that was my consumer feedback. And I used that to really kind of carve a better way of making videos and just giving my audience what they wanted to see more of.
I love that. And now let's kind of transition into the yacht kind of part of things. Where did that come from? Your interest in that, and what made you start the channel around that? And talk about that community briefly on YouTube, if you would.
Yeah, sure. So my first experience with a boat was when I was 8 years old. My stepdad bought a small Shetland boat, which is a 22-footer. I went out on that and just kind of fell in love with it, really. But I'd always been interested in super yachts. When I was 13, I used to read Boat International, which anybody in and around yachting knows is the go-to publication. And I used to sit in my bedroom actually and daydream about these massive yachts that, the pictures were always of these yachts in coves and at really pristine anchorages. And I thought, wow, what must it be like just to be on that kind of boat in those kind of areas? And sort of fast forward to now, the reason why I started producing content around that is, lots of people have got interest in super yachts, but not everybody has access to super yachts. And what I wanted to try and do is present these yachts to people in a way that if you've got an interest, you could almost visualize being on board these yachts like I did when I was 13. I'd sit and read the articles that were written about these yachts and look at the pictures, and I would sit there and envision myself on them. And that's what I wanted to create with my videos. I wanted to create a similar thing. So even if you're landlocked and don't live near the sea, you can watch the video and it's almost like being on there and experiencing what it would be like. And the kind of community that I've built, a lot of people own boats of different sizes, but also a lot of people have never been on a boat but like to experience it vicariously through my videos.
I love that. And the whole thing about yachts just interests me, and looking at your channel and kind of what you've done is super cool. And maybe now on the back end of that, talk about kind of how the YouTube channel has opened up some opportunities for you to work with some of these manufacturers, some of these people who are really big into this, and kind of what that's kind of done for your channel.
Yeah, absolutely. So I would say probably in the last 3 months, I've had contact with yacht builders and yacht brokers such as Nordhaven. I'd worked with Bearing before. About 12 months ago, I made a video about one of their yachts. And really what was happening was I was approaching them and saying to them, look, I've got this YouTube channel. I get quite a few views every month as far as my metrics are concerned. Would it be possible to get some footage or get some images so I can make a video about your boats? And to my surprise, people were coming back to me and saying, yeah, absolutely. And they were actually saying, look, we've seen your channel. We like what you do. We like your videos. Look, here's some footage. Here's some images. Feel free to put together a video. And I would do that and put the video together, publish it on my YouTube channel. And then more recently, a couple of weeks ago, Icon Yachts, who are the Dutch builder behind Ragnar, which is, an amazing expedition yacht. It's a converted yacht that is really well known in the community. So they had converted this boat into what is now Ragnar. And I saw one of their Instagram posts about another conversion project they're working on. And I sent them a DM and I just said, look, hi, my name's John. I've got a YouTube channel called Yacht Boy. I love what you do. I've seen one of your Instagram posts about Project Ocean, which is the current project they're working on. Would it be possible to make a video about what you're doing? And to my surprise, they came back and said, yeah, absolutely. We've seen your channel. We'll have a chat over Skype and we'll talk about the boat. We'll talk about the conversion. We'll send you over some of the general arrangements and you can put a video together. And I'm sitting there thinking, wow, I mean, to me, you don't get better than working with organizations like Icon Yachts. And there they are chatting to me, over Skype about the boat that they're building so that I can make a representation to my audience about what it is they're doing. It's a really kind of surreal moment. And even today, actually, before this call, I've been invited over to Turkey to do some filming out there of another project, an Explorer project that is currently being put together. So yeah, I mean, these doors that have opened are ones that I never expected. And for me, being able to work with the likes of Nordhaven, Icon Yachts, Bearing Yachts and other really prestigious yacht builders is just a kind of dream come true.
All right, so now let's talk about a little bit more about the YouTube side of things. I want to talk to you about the business side of it for a minute, and then we'll transition into monetization quickly. Is YouTube what you do full-time, just quickly?
No, it's not.
Okay, and what do you do, if you don't mind? I mean, as far as I know you mentioned a couple things here kind of throughout your answers, but as far as is there anything else that you do kind of creatively other than YouTube?
No, just so really, it's just my daytime business, which is the social media management. So I've got
Right.
clients who pay me a monthly amount just to advise them on their content strategies on social media.
Right, and that's what I want. I wanted you to kind of be a little more in depth about that, so that was perfect. Now that we understand that you're kind of, this is a hustle for you right now. This is this is a grind. This is a side thing for you. So I want that perspective to be throughout the remainder of the 20 minutes of this interview. So as far as YouTube as a business, what are you looking to do as far as, you're building these relationships, these partnerships? What do you hope to do as far as like monetization and the business side of things?
Well, the aim is to switch to doing YouTube full time. That's what I really want to do, and it's probably about halfway there in terms of where I need it to be. The AdSense program is great, but it's very up and down. I mean, my cost per milli can vary between $2.50 to $3.50, so it varies quite a lot. The thing that I'm trying to focus on, the strategy that I'm trying to develop, is how can I make my YouTube channel a full-time living? Because relying on AdSense alone is a little bit too unpredictable. I have thought about, and I am thinking about, working with yacht brokers, so that if they've got a yacht that they want to sell, I can make a video about it, about the the characteristics of the yacht, and everything about that yacht. And if, for example, somebody sees the video and they express an interest in buying it, and they do go on to buy that particular yacht, then I could arrange some sort of commission with the broker. That's the way that I think it will go, looking at everything in terms of the landscape financially of how I could make it a viable business, a full-time viable business. And I've had a conversation. I had a conversation with a boat builder here in the UK. They've recently finished building a £2.5 million trawler yacht. And I was talking to the owner of that shipyard, who basically said to me, look, if you do find a buyer for it, fantastic, we'll give you a commission. And I'm sitting there thinking, okay, well, if I do find a buyer and it does sell, then the commission from that will definitely be enough for me to actually think about seriously making the transition from my day job, which is social media management, to actually being a full-time content creator.
So obviously you're part of the YouTube partner program, correct? Because of your numbers on YouTube?
Yes.
Do you mind sharing just what a channel of your size, 20,000 subs, 800,000 to 1 million views a month, might bring in on average through AdSense revenue?
Yeah, so it can vary. I think my best month is going to be this month, because I had a video that went viral. I went and visited an offshore cruise or offshore powerboat that did a sponsored or did a charity event where they tried to go from London down to Monaco within a certain amount of time. It's a fantastic boat. It's called Thunder Child 2, if anybody's interested in finding out about it. I made a video about that. That went viral. So I think it's up to 550,000 views now. So I think this month I've made about £1,700 sterling. So we've still got another 2 weeks to go. So I would imagine that this month I'll probably make about £2,300, I think, from AdSense sterling, which I'm not quite sure what that is in dollars at the moment. But on average, I could expect to get around between £1,100 to £1,500 per month from my YouTube channel, not taking into account any videos that happen to go viral.
Absolutely. Okay. I wanted people to get a perspective of that. I love that information because people oftentimes just think of the big YouTubers with millions of subscribers and billions of views, and they're making money. But there are people making money who are small to medium sized creators as well. So understanding that is critical. Let me ask you this: what is something that you wish someone had told you when you first started out on YouTube?
To get better at editing videos and making videos. And I'll tell you why, because some of the first videos that I made were about boats that I know are really popular, but my editing and my voiceover was not up to standard as far as I'm concerned. But I put those videos out there. One of them did quite well quite early on. It had 150,000 views. And when I was watching it back, I was cringing because my voice just sounded really dulcet and the editing wasn't particularly good. I wish that I would have spent more time learning about how to make good videos, how to use either iMovie, which is what I was using then, or now Final Cut Pro, because then I would have known that if I made a video and it went viral early on, I would have got more subscribers from it, because people were watching the video, but they weren't subscribing because they probably listened to my voice thinking, who is this guy? Why does he sound, so weird when he's narrating? And I think if I'd have spent more time working on my narration and working on my editing, that video would have generated more subscribers. And maybe I would have been up to sort of 25,000 or maybe 30,000 subscribers now rather than 20,000. So that would be my advice, is to, if you're going to make videos and you're like me, you're not a professional video maker, then learn how to make good videos, so that if you make a video and you publish it and it happens to go viral, like a couple of mine did very early on, you're going to get more people coming back to your channel and you're going to get more subscribers from it.
What are some things that you've learned on that end as far as the editing? What are some tricks of the trade that you've learned now? And as you were just answering that question, you were thinking to yourself, yeah, if I'd have just done these few things, like with the editing, with the production side of things.
If I would have got a decent microphone, which is the one that I'm speaking to you on now, with a decent setup, my audio, my narration would have been a lot better, and I think that would have resonated more with people. And I think also, when it comes to the actual videos, my most recent ones, they're a lot smoother in terms of the transition from different shots. The way that I talk about each section of the boat as that particular section's on your screen is a lot more fluid, whereas before it would just be cutting from kind of image to image with no real transition between the two. But now I use transitions in a way that reflect the narration style. So if I'm talking about an engine room on a boat, for example, and I'm talking about different areas of the engine room, rather than just, going from, one part of the engine to the next part, and that kind of goes across two very simple shots, I'll transition it in a way so that it feels like you're actually, walking around the engine room based on images where I don't have video. So, yeah, I think that's how I've kind of honed my craft when it comes to video editing over the last kind of 18 months.
I love that. That was some really good advice there. Absolutely. The microphone thing, the audio, to me, people know who listen to this. I'm not going to harp on that. That's something that I talk about here on the podcast a lot. So that's just kind of something that is ingrained in me, that audio is so important, and it really is critical for you to hone in on your audio and know what works for you, and understanding your setup too. It's not only about the microphone, it's about the recording space and how you handle your audio in post. There's a lot of things.
Yeah.
I've had someone that I've worked with now for almost a year on YouTube, and when they would record their audio, it sounded fantastic. Like they'd record it, and then they would get in post and they would start to edit it. And there is something to be said about over editing, and it sounded too overproduced, and it made them sound very robotic. And so there is a lot to be said about that. So understanding what works for you and your situation is critical for sure.
And I was going to say, I've noticed that when I play with my voiceover in terms of trying to make it sound good, I've noticed that on one of my videos I put too much bass in there, which sounds like a really simple thing, but when you listen back to it, it just sounds awful because it's too bassy. And like you say, I think there's a fine line between making sure your audio sounds good so that people enjoy listening to it, to spending too much time over engineering the equalizer so you then sound like you're talking from space or something.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. Let's talk about you as a person now. What have you learned about yourself along the way as a creator and as a person that have kind of helped you, like as far as things that you do really well and the things that you struggle with?
It's really interesting because I think I'm overly critical of myself, and I'll tell you why. The videos that I've made recently, and the partners that I've worked with, such as Icon Yachts, when I've put the videos up there, they've kind of fed back to me, look, we really love your video. And I'll give you another example. Arxon Explorer Yachts, they're building an 85-foot Explorer yacht on the Isle of Wight at the moment. I was one of the first YouTube creators to go down there and feature their 85-foot Explorer yacht, made the video, and I was really nervous about putting it up. Put it up, and they loved it. The team at Arxon, really enjoyed it. And I did something similar with another Explorer yacht company. But when I look at the videos, when I watch them back, I still kind of cringe. I still think, oh, I don't like that. I think I'm just too overly critical, which I think is a downfall of mine because I don't embrace the positive always. I always just concentrate on the negative. And I think that, I never knew that about myself. I always thought that, I'm quite confident. When I started my insurance business up, I started up knowing nothing about insurance. Like literally, I knew about different levels of indemnity, but I didn't know how to underwrite an insurance policy. But I had enough confidence in my ability to learn it. But it seems to me that when it comes to my video creation, I look at some of the other creators out there, and there's some excellent creators on YouTube that make really, really good videos. And I look at their videos, not necessarily in the same genre as me, just across the board. And I think, oh God, I've got so much to do. I'm so far off where I want to be in my video creation skills. But then I think, well, hang on, people enjoy the videos, and the one that I made about Thunder Child 2, it's had 500,000 views, and I've read every single comment, and 99.9% of the comments are really positive. So I think to myself, well, maybe I'm just too self-critical, and I need to kind of find the balance of embracing what I can do that I know people enjoy, i.e. making the videos, versus how can I get better at making them without being too overly critical, I think.
Yeah, wow, that's some really honest and open chat. I love that. You're exactly right. Understanding who you are as a person and what you do well, and the things that you struggle with, it might be even more important is knowing where to kind of supplement and find others to help you. Collaboration. There's just so much involved. How do you, this is a bonus question here before we finish up, how do you balance everything between family, full-time job, and then the hustle that and the grind that is YouTube?
I would say with a lot of juggling and a lot of trying to keep my wife happy. I'm relatively lucky in that I work from home, so I've converted my garage into an office, so I can come out here at any time. So what I'll end up doing is, going and helping the wife with my two children, getting them ready for bed or getting their dinner ready. And then when my wife sits down and chills out and watches some TV, I'll come out and make some more videos. And I think the thing is, doing something like this is key to have an understanding partner, somebody who understands your vision, recognizes what you want to do and why you're doing it. When I first told my wife that I was going to start making YouTube videos 18 months ago, I got a very weird look because she doesn't spend a lot of time on YouTube herself. I think she had this kind of vision in her head of what a YouTuber looks like. And one of the things that was really hard for me was actually getting my face on my videos. I hate being on camera. Mm-hmm. And I found that really hard to kind of come across naturally. But she bought into it, and my children, when I'm editing videos, my son, he's 5 years old, he'll come out and he'll watch me make the video, and then I let him do a little bit of narration, so he thinks that he's getting involved with the video. I mean, obviously I delete what he says before the video goes live, but it's they buy into it. So my family have bought into it, and they kind of they support me in that way. So I think juggling it is quite hard, but I think when it comes to YouTube, I think, as you said before in your podcast, you've got to do something that you enjoy doing. And for me, I love boats, and I love talking about boats. And I think that if I had picked a subject that I don't particularly enjoy, I would have found it quite hard to carry on making content as I do. I mean, I make 2 videos a week, one on a Tuesday, one on a Friday, but I look forward to making those videos. And that would be my advice to anyone that's thinking about doing something on YouTube, is find something that you're passionate about. Because when it gets to 8 o'clock in the evening and you've already spent a full day doing your day job and sorting the kids out, to be able to sit down in front of a computer for 3 or 4 hours and make a video, I wouldn't be able to do it unless it was something that I was passionate about, unless it was a topic or a subject that I was passionate about, which is what I am when it comes to boats.
Always think about what you're going to want to be doing in years to come, because if YouTube is a long-term game for you, which is what a lot of folks aspire for it to be, knowing that you're still going to be interested and passionate and bought in on the things that you're making videos on, people don't understand. That's a big part of it too. So if you're just getting started and you're like 5 videos in and you're thinking, oh man, this is already becoming a grind, you might want to reassess what you're doing.
That's very true.
All right. So in conclusion, where can folks connect with you on the internet to kind of get in touch with you? And they've listened to this and they're like, hey, I want to get in touch with this guy and see what's going on.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you can come and find me on my YouTube channel, obviously, which is Yacht Buoy. And the spelling of the boy is Buoy. OY, so it's a nautical version. Come and find me on YouTube. Watch my videos. If you leave a comment, I'll always reply to you. I'm also on Instagram as well, and I reply to every DM that I get and every comment that's left on my videos and posts. Again, just search for Yacht Buoy, Buoy on Instagram, and come and find me on there. And I've got some exciting updates coming up. So if you're interested in boats, or if you want to connect with me as a creator and you want to follow my journey, come and find me on my social media handles. And I'd love to chat to you online virtually as well. So come and find me.
Absolutely. And his channel is Yacht, Yacht Buoy, Buoy. Thank you so much for agreeing to come on the podcast today. I've had so much fun with you, John, and you've got so much valuable information. Your channel is only at the precipice of kind of where it's going to be in the future, so maybe we'll have you on again talking and celebrating 100K or something like that.
And you know what, Dusty, I want to say thanks to you as well, because being a creator is a very lonely experience. When you're sat in your office on your own making videos, there's no one you can talk to. There's no one you can kind of sound out, really. And I think your podcast, when I found it, 6 or 7 months ago, it really helped me, because I was listening to people that were going through a similar journey to me. And I know you put a lot of effort into this. So on behalf of your listeners, I want to thank you for doing what you're doing as well, because it gives creators like me the chance to, vibe off other people and share ideas virtually. So thanks for doing what you do.
Yeah, that was very kind of you. I'll pay you later. You didn't have to do that. That was very, very nice of you. But yes, I do put a lot of time in it, not because I want to brag, but because I love this show. This show continues to be the best YouTube podcast on the internet, and I will stand by that. If anyone wants to argue, we can do that. But huge thank you and shout out to you again for joining me today. I really appreciate it, John, and we'll talk to you next time.
Thanks, Dusty. Appreciate it.
It's time for the question of the week. All right, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed that conversation with our guest this week. This week's question of the week is the following. How do you manage your comment section? What are you doing currently that may be a creative way to manage all of the comments that come in through your channel? I know myself, getting sometimes, 40, 50, even 100 comments a day, it becomes very, very difficult. And so the question this week is, do you have a comment management solution, or just tell me how you're handling comments and community as a whole in that coveted spot below your videos? So that's the question this week. Hit me up on Twitter at DustyPorterYT and let me know your response to that, and it may be presented in next week's episode.
You've been listening to the YouTube Creators Podcast. We want to thank you and invite you to subscribe to the show, as well as support us on Patreon for great perks, such as having your YouTube channel featured on the show and a link on our website. Until next time, keep uploading those videos.